Welcome. I hope that this finds you doing well. I appreciate you stopping by my channel and taking a look at the passions of my life, my heart, and my mind. My name is Kathleen Thomas, and I come from a psychological perspective. My training is currently in naturopathic psychology, and I like to look at astrology with the inner planets. I do that monthly in the full moon, new moon readings, and I also like to do shadow work reading for those that are challenged internally and trying to work through those darker areas of their lives that perhaps they might have put on hold when they were just growing and, trying to figure out who they were. And now that they're adults and really coming into their own, maybe perhaps you're beginning to see some triggers are being pulled and things aren't consistent for you. And maybe perhaps you're struggling. So this reading is for you if any of you identify with that and wanting to really take a closer look at the shadow that exists in all of us. And that isn't to in any way celebrate darkness over light or light over darkness. There is a yin and a yang energy going on here that works back and forth within us. And of course, I believe the object is to try to rise to the higher vibrations and the higher intentions that exist within us and that we're capable of. And when we don't, we live this automatic life of non-intention that gets tripped up with triggers that were innately placed in us from our past soul life, I believe, becoming convinced of that, and also from the experiences that are occurring in this incarnation and the traumas that perhaps you've gone through. So my heart and my passion is to see people live more intentional lives and to do it in a way that is consistent. So I try to offer practical guidelines. So again, these colors, if you want to work on your inner chakras and truly try to balance and ground, bring out the colors around you that signify these chakras and learn them and know them and understand them and begin to implement them and saturate yourself in whatever your heart is drawn to that's going to cause you to evolve and become more enlightened and become a better, if you want to say that word, a higher conscious human being living a life of highest intention. So I also have crystals on the table here, shamanic crystals that we use, shungite, and I've got my moonstone and my white Salente rod with kyanite, bringing in the openness to spirit and psychic receptivity. And then I've got wormwood and sage, and I also have rose petals. So with that, what I want to do now is just kind of open us up with some saging, some live saging. And I just would like you to join me in anything that perhaps you're wanting to look at a little bit more closer today on this topic that I'm going to begin to introduce here. Just ask that perhaps answers would come to you today as you get that hard thinking mind out of the way for a moment and you allow yourself to just slow that breath down and you allow yourself to just dip into a more rhythmic way of being. Just for the moment, sit, get comfortable, and take these deep, long breaths with me as we just prepare our space to read and be read and be understood and be spoken to ways that perhaps we haven't seen before because we've been so busy trying to figure it all out in that strong mind of ours that perhaps we have not taken the time to just slow things down and become more deliberate and become more conscious of our intentions and what we think about most and all the things that perhaps we place in our lives that are deeply unnecessary. And so with that, the topic that I want to speak about and read about and be a channel of light for is the space in between. The space in between. What do I mean? When I was walking and just preparing, just opening my heart and my mind, doing my own breath work and my own individual saging, I just heard talk about read for those that have come out of this older way of being. And I just saw people who made radical shifts in their lives because they're becoming awakened. Like you're leaving jobs and you're leaving relationships that no longer, you've got these new eyes and they're no longer, something that you can identify with because you're no longer being triggered and you're changing your inner world. And so these other relationships that, where there's always something like wrong with them, or there's drama, or there's a problem, these types of things, you're moving away from those relationships. Perhaps you've even gone as far as to physically move. And, the things that you used to listen to and read, all of these things are changing within you as you become more and more awakened to your own inner voice, your own inner power, understanding that you were made with purpose and that you have a design and that you have a plan and that there is a reason for this incarnation, and you begin to go towards that and you begin to understand yourself. Now, all of these are wonderful, wonderful things, but you're not where you really want to end up and where you feel spirit drawing you, where you feel the universe wants you to be. Like you can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it. Like it is so there, and your efforts and your actions and your momentum are lining up with that intention. You are doing now the things that you know you need to be doing. These are the people that I'm addressing here. If that's you, and you're not where you want to be, but you've left where you were, and you're in this space in between of becoming, but not yet totally being what you desire. It doesn't mean you're not complete now. It doesn't mean that, how do I put this? We must always be in the now while being open to the opportunities of what lay ahead. But the now is where we make changes. The now is where we can make a change. And so we must have now moments where we come away from the problem, we begin to work with our intuition. And this is what Tarot is. It's one of many modalities that you can choose to use, but it is a modality that I deeply identify with, as there are a lot of psychological and astrological ties to the tarot that I identify with. So with that, the space in between is the theme of this reading. If that's you, I invite you. Thank you very much for just being with me today. It is an honor to speak into your life and to be open as a channel of light for spirit. So I'm going to move this all out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the reading. Okay, so hello. Welcome back. Great Spirit, all knowledge, all knowing, all wisdom, with the help of the Dark Woods Tarot and my openness to listen for the collective, what is it that you would like to share with us on the space in between? While many of us have undergone great significant change and transformation in the last, some even go back as far as 10 years, I know I do, the changes, the changes, the changes, and now we're seeing that we should go in another direction, or we are going in another direction, but we're not there yet, and it can get tough, and it can get lonely, but not alone, but certainly lonely as we wait for our tribe, and we wait to enter into what we know we're being called to. The space in between. What would you say regarding wisdom and a main theme of advice in the space in between? What is it that we need to hear for the betterment of our lives? Thank you. Okay, you kind of saw how that all just really flew out, and I think we're going to go with that and read these cards, and I feel like that's it. That's what I heard. So we're going to go with that. And we're going to take a look at these, just how they tumbled out of there in order, and see what kind of story is coming out here for us today, and what kind of story wants to be heard. And that was the main theme card. I remember that falling out, and that is the Hierophant number 5. Okay. All right, this is pretty clear. Pretty freaking clear what we have going on here. So we're gonna walk through this really quick, and we're just gonna talk about it. We're gonna be in and we're gonna be out on this reading, but I am going to put the cards up. I know that they're facing me, so it's difficult for you to see, but I will put the cards up when I edit the video, and I will go ahead and let you know what they look like really close. That way you're not missing out on anything. I feel that's important. So what I do is I go back when I edit, like I said, and I just, as I'm looking at the card and holding it, I put the card up on the screen in front of you so you can see it. All right, so the first card that we have coming out as the main theme, and something that we need to look at in the space in between, is the Hierophant number 5. The Hierophant number 5. And that card is, of course, in the major arcana. And that is not a smaller themed card. By the time we get to the major arcana, we have made our way quite significantly through the tarot. There are 78 cards in the tarot. So by the time that we get to the Hierophant number 5, we've reached a pinnacle. We've gone through the initial journey, beginning as the Fool, the Magician, which is Mercury, High Priestess, moved to the Empress, to the Emperor, and now we're coming into the Hierophant. So what do we have when we have the Hierophant? The Hierophant's about teaching. The Hierophant's about a lesson and belief. You can think of the 9th house in astrology. It reminds me of that house. And it's conscientiousness and responsibility. And so with this card coming out, you can see the way that the finger is pointing and the scroll is in the other hand, and there's keys and a snake. And it's a tree, it's earth energy out in the woods. This energy is ancient and old. She has cobwebs hanging from her. This is energy that's saying, look, I need you to look at your beliefs. I need you to look at what you believed in. And I need you to understand that there's an opportunity here that lays within you to help someone else and to become a teacher and to share that knowledge um, and integrate that knowledge. And it's saying, are you too rigid and are you too dogmatic in the shadow to do that? Perhaps the heels have been dug in, and this whole space in between is saying, look, you're not there yet. There's some things you still need to learn. Okay? There's some things you still need to learn. Or look around and ask who or what was your teacher and make sense of it. She's got a scroll in her hand there, and so this is acquired knowledge, and it's asking you to tune in to your higher self. And of course, this is Taurus energy, and this is Earth and number 5. And 5 is a challenge number, and it allows for further growth. It says, look, 0 to 10, you're halfway there. And it's saying you've got a ways to go. So the space in between, the theme is there is some great lessons and some teaching going on that you're learning that's going to help you down here, down the road. I'm going to come back and pull in the Dark Woods themes and where she's coming from, Sasha Graham. Towards the end there, I'm going to go through those. But I just want to get these read as I see them initially coming out in my own intuitiveness. So, all right, the next card we have is the Ten of Cups. It's a card of promise. This is water energy now. We've moved away from earth and we've gotten to water. And of course, when we get to water, we know that that is the emotions. And that's where, when you've got 10 cups, you've got a lot of water there. Okay? And the 10 of cups is known to be, uh, boy, I tell you, happiness and peace and love and blessings. And this is emotional energy. This is water. This is yin energy. So this is a card of bliss and family and a joyous family at that. And when it shows up in a reading, it's saying, look, in the space in between, remember that was the question. What do we need to see? What advice do you have about the space in between? In the space in between, know that I heard this too. Boy, this come through really hard and fast. Remember the process. Remember the process. Remember, this is a process. And the space in between, it's asking you, have a happy home, have a happy space, have love and joy in your life, and let your relationships be harmonic, and, be grateful. This card's asking us to be grateful as well. And it's Mars in Pisces when we have this card. And Mars is about action and energy and assertiveness, and it's Aries and it's willpower, and it's asking you to move out in that energy. Now, there's 10 cups in this, so that's a lot of water, like I said. And 10 is the most complete form of the suits. When we get to 10, we are now at a 1, and mastery's been achieved. So in the space in between, Spirit is creating mastery of family dynamics and relationships. That is a goal. I see it very clearly. It's a new beginning. It's what's trying to transpire as you wait. And this struggle and this suffering and the questions and the breaking of Pluto, taking you and dissolving you, and you're just transforming into something else down here, the space in between, this is what it's creating. This beautiful, happy, harmonic, joyous home. All right, next card. This one's right in the middle of the reading. Is the 5, another 5 under the Hierophant 5. So this is another challenge number, okay? But 5 and 5 is 10, right? Reduces to a 1. 10 is to your left. These, I believe, because those numbers are 5 and 5, these are working together here. And it's saying, look, I need you to look at this. Okay, 5 and 5 is 10. So there's no doubt where cards show up and how they're touching, the colors, all of it. All of this is symbolic. All of this is important. Take a look at these colors. See how I talked about the red in the beginning coming out in the reading with the red roses? Look at the red that's coming out, okay? You've got the real green and earth tones, which is a lot of the other colors I have going on here. And the yellow in the back, and the yellow flames, and the yellow lantern, and the yellow torches. You see how that works? The colors come together. Even beforehand, Spirit was working and talking with us about how this was supposed to look so that when the cards came out, they would match the tablescape. It happens every time. It's pretty cool the way that it happens, and it's not random. So, again, Pentacles is earth energy. So we've gotten ourselves back into the earth energy from the water. And this is so with another earth card coming up. This is asking us to truly concentrate with a 5. This has to do with Pentacles, has to do with earth, a challenging situation. And it's asking us, hey, I really need you to get some security in your life financially. This is about you changing dynamics. I find this to be such an interesting card. If you take a look at it, you've got a guy on his hands and knees, literally crawling after in the snow barefoot after a woman who's quite on her way and quite stubborn on her way. You can see that right there. And the 5 pentacles are right there in the tree. There's money right there. See it hidden in the tree? But they're walking right past that opportunity. They don't see it, right? So it's a lack of security here and instability and scarcity thinking. And this is being alienated from one another. This is illness as well. So these illness, coronavirus, this comes in very deeply into this card. How it's separating people and changing the dynamics of relationships. There's no doubt about that. Some people have absolutely had to walk away and also have lost people. My goodness. And how horrifying has that been for the people that have lost people and become alienated? So when this card appears, we're looking at a sense of security being threatened, and lack of money and other resources are causing you to become deeply anxious. Deeply anxious. So what about the space in between, spirits? Like, I know I see this. Okay, this is about you figuring this out and getting these, money, earth things. I mean, we're talking, when you get to pentacles, this is body, material realm. This is your health, money, work, security, solidness of things, reality, right? So by the time you get there and at the number 5, wow, this is a disequilibrium in those things. It's a shaking things up and a breaking of old habits. And it's also passing through the fire. Passing through the fire to be made stronger. And you learn by moving. You learn by, look at, she is going forward. Come hell or high water, she's going forward. And he is cautiously following her. I don't quite want to go into all of that. There's a whole nother level. Let's keep it in, what's going on in the space in between. Let's stay in our reading theme. What's going on in the space in between? What's going on? Change. Change having to do with a Taurus theme. Again, we've got Taurus, double Taurus energy. And right now, I believe, yes, Taurus is in Uranus, and we are having all of this being shaken up in our lives, all of the dynamics. And so it's saying this isn't for naught, okay? This is going somewhere. She's going this direction. And where's she going? She's going towards this next card. Let's talk about it. The next card is another 5. The 5 of Wands. All right, so now we've got a third element coming out. Fire. Fire. All right, 5 of Wands is again another challenge number. So we've got 3 5s on the table. You can see of all the numbers that I would have chosen, to be quite honest with you, regarding the space in between, I think hands down, it definitely would have been the number 5. And it's just crazy to me that that number has come up 3 times. That's not an accident. That's very important. 5 and 5 is 10. 5 and 5 is 10. 5 and 5 is 10, right? We've got 5 and working 3 ways here. It's quite interesting. What's the ending? Where are we going? This 10 of Cups, trying to make our current situation personally to us happy, balanced, centered, right? That's what this is about. The space in between here. That's what it's about. So the 5 of Wands is about brainstorming, because this is, remember, wands, and wands are creative ideas and sparks of inspiration. So it's about, look, collectively we're brainstorming, we're trying to solve this conflict. It's become competitive. You see these dragon fairies, I guess is what they would be, running around out in the woods. We're all different colors: gray, white, red, green, and brown. I find that fascinating. Dancing around this red mushroom. I find that interesting too, that that red would come out as a predominant color on a 5 card, saying, I need you to see this. I need you to see the root chakra. Red is the root chakra. Grounding, grounding, grounding. Like, can't say this enough. Grounding in nature. This is all about us. Look, these fairies we're all outside here in these cards. And they're all about being outside with their torches, gathering around this mushroom. And it can be negative. The 5 of Wands can be petty hassles and petty arguments and clashing of personalities. And it can represent competition, okay? Which is a good thing, because without competition, I don't think we become better. But when we're in such deep competition against each other that we never become united in a united front, and we've all got our, see, they've all got their own torches. So the objective here is to move towards one big torch, right? The one big torch that's lit, and take our individual torches and go towards that larger. It's about teamwork. When you get to the 5 of Wands, this is about teamwork in relationships. In relationships is definitely a relationship between a man and a woman, but it can be a man and a man. You know, we've got male and feminine existing within us. I do believe that. So I don't really care what your gender is or who you love. It's none of my business. But I do want you to know that just because we say male and female doesn't mean that that relationship has to be male and female. That's important to me, because I think inclusion is important. Um, so it's also saying, hey, can you treasure your differences? Is it okay for everyone? And you see this, right? You know, where we had the whole fat shaming, you know, whatever that is, you know, people being overweight, and we had the whole disparity against people that believed a certain thing. And so we ganged up on them and we bullied them. And what's happening in this space in between, collectively, and even in the stars, as you look at the full moons and the new moon readings that I do, I encourage you, check those out. You're going to see what's happening is it's changing in relationships. The space in between is 5, 5, 5. Add them together, you get this 10 of Cups over here. You get this blessing. Work it, people. Work it. This is what it's about right here. This can also be being stubborn in the shadow. You know, it's like, nope, I'm going to hold on to my ideas, and this is the way it's going to be, and I don't care what you think. This is Leo energy in Saturn. So Leo's fire, wanting to go out it's, you know, a fixed energy, not wanting to go out so much aggressively to others, but it's fixed in its own energy, right? And it wants to go out and show the world who he is. And Saturn's about, wait a minute, I'm going to put the brakes on. Now, the good news about that is Saturn and a lot of planets, this again will be in my Aries full moon reading, a lot of planets are coming out of retrograde. People, we are about to see these fives move up to sixes. We're about to see a wave and a shift and a turn in the energies of the outer planets impacting us personally. And we're about to see truth being revealed and justice coming and an inclusion like this five, an inclusion that we've not seen before. And it's going to become necessary that we work as a team. So I want to go to this next card. Again, wand energy, 3 of Wands. We have moved into another fire card. And man, she's got 3 torches there. You know, I think of Hecate immediately. She comes to me very strongly. And she, of course, is the torch bearer, the light bearer. She is the one that helps guide those back and forth into the shadowlands, up into the light. How incredibly ironic that this card would come out. All right. This is about launching out, and this is about foresight and looking forward. Remember, 2 becomes 3, and when it becomes 3, we have Empress energy. We have energy deeply tied to the Empress here. This is making a decision and your first optimistic steps toward it. Now, notice where this card fell. It's after the 5s. Yes, it goes back down into a 3. I understand, but it's after the 5. So it's bringing this now creative energy back down into a practical level. You know, it's saying you still got some growth to do in your creative energies, but you've definitely got a vision and you definitely want to lead and be creative, and you definitely are now ready to put forth your vision. This card can also be about forgiveness of others and being willing to let go of the past, go down into the shadowlands with Hecate. You know, go down there and do your inner work and then forgive and let it go and move forward. And if there's any energy that's going to partner with you, the fire of the moon in Aries, oh my goodness, this full moon has got some potent power to it, and it's going to allow you to truly move forward. And I'm sharing with you, it's going to be deeply, deeply profound. And I encourage you to learn more about that energy. You can always watch my video coming up, but definitely take a look at that. It's coming together, right? It's 2 becoming 3, and it's suggesting an equality and a cooperation when we get to this card. You know, it's asking you, were you willing to grow with others? You know, this is Aries card. This is the sun, Aries, the sun in Aries here. And with 3, it's 2 things coming together and forming something that is better and bigger and more powerful and profound. It's the Trinity, the body, mind, and spirit at work here. It's past, present, and future. So in the space in between, remember you have a future. This card is deeply tied to the future. And it is associated with the Empress. So I encourage you to look at the Empress. Very important there. Okay. Last card. Last card is number 9. And we go back to close out with a major arcana card. And we move quite up from the 5, the Hermit. Okay. So you notice it's number 9, which by the time that we get to number 9, this is completion. This is the ending of a cycle in the material sense. And it's interesting because the reading starts out very heavy material. This is Taurus energy here. So it starts out very, very heavy in the material sense. And it represents a time for looking back over what has been done and accomplished and the progress you've made. And it's feeling secure enough in your achievements that you're able to dedicate now resources to others. That to me is the epitome of the hermit. Deeply tied into the moon card as well. And it's earth energy. This is Virgo energy, and it's wanting to be very fastidious about placing what it's learned onto the earth, because Virgo is the sixth sign. Virgo has to do with the body. So it's interesting. I said from 5 you're moving on to 6, and Virgo is the 6th house. Where are you moving on in a very practical matter in the space in between? And what have you learned? Number 6, the house of your health, the house of your day-to-day, the house where you can make these changes that need to be made. This is practical, conscientious, loyal energy. But remember here, be careful. The hermit can have anxiety. The hermit needs to leave and not stay where the hermit's at. The hermit needs to move. Just like the planets, they may go into retrograde, and according to us, it looks like they're stalling out, but really they're not. It's just the way that the sun is moving and the other stars. But then they go direct again, and they do move very forcefully forward. It's asking you to move to the 10. And 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, and it's number 1. So I hope that you found that helpful. And I do just want to, again, call forth some things that I'm seeing. We've got yellow very strongly behind the hermit. A new day is rising. 6 is coming. 6 is the Lover's card. 6 is the hermit, the Virgo card. This is about, we have had a cycle of deep changes to our health, deep changes to our day-to-day, deep changes to our finances, deep changes to our connection with other people, deep changes with our connection to nature. And it's caused us to be able to now take what we're learning and to move out like she's moving that lantern. She's going forward with her light, going forward with her light. Red is very important. See this? Red is coming through. I also want to draw white out to you. You see the white in the moon here? Take a look at that full moon in Aries. It's really going to help you. Got the white snow, them going over, driven white snow, meaning new areas, that, areas that you've never seen before, that you've had to wade through. So I just want to encourage you and go out with a blessing over you, and just let you know that the space in between, it's temporary. And truly, we are moving forward into the full age of Aquarius, where we are going to begin to function in a more symbiotic way. Take heart, dear people. Take heart and stay in your rhythm. Stay grounded. And I speak love and light and peace over you. And I ask that you would walk in fullness and wholeness. And I ask that all of your past would be made clear before you, and that you too would truly know that you have the power. You have it. You've had it all along, my dear. Like the ruby red slippers, you know the way. Take things away that are no longer serving you, and move them away, and create a new clear space that you can begin to build your newness upon. With that, I close out, as you take a look at the Dark Woods Tarot from Sasha Graham's tips and her way of describing these cards. Namaste, dear ones. Namaste.
With you, I can be sad with you. Just take my hand.